here is the whole campaign. Some questions that I have is about thinking about this thing and how it's going to work out. And then I'm thinking over here about the only automations that I'm going to need, because I've built lots of sales pipelines in the past and I got a little bit too cute on the amount of automations that were happening. And what was happening, like say you complete a phone call, you would want to move that lead into call completed. But what I found is that if we would close them and then we had a phone call with them after that later, it would move them backwards in the pipeline. So I learned just to simplify here, and I decided that when the contact books a appointment, that's going to move that deal from new lead or wherever they are into appointment booked, because that's going to be a nice smooth one for the person that's setting the appointments. Then the other one I want to have is the appointment shows. If we mark the appointment completed, that's going to move them into appointment completed. The other side of it, that might seem obvious, but the other side is that the sales rep could mark it appointment completed, but then it still stays in appointment booked unless you make that automation. And the last thing is I'll probably do is if we get a closed one, so there's a sale in the system, that'll move them over to closed one. Now, the most basic part of this pipeline goes new lead, appointment booked, appointment completed, closed one, closed lost. You'll notice that those are all in past tense. Those are things that have to happen and they've happened. So it's not like you're going to schedule a call or something like that. It's like actions that have happened. New lead, appointment booked, appointment completed, closed one, closed lost. Up here though, I've got a new lead, phone call 1, phone call 2, phone call 3, and this part's going to happen within 24 hours, because what we identified is if we can reach that lead within 24 hours of them showing interest in this program, that we're much more likely to get them to actually book the appointment. And the further along the time horizon that it goes, the less likely people are to book the appointment. So we're going to front load this thing pretty heavy with Tiffany, our setter, who's crushing it. And within 24 hours, that person's going to get 3 phone calls. It's actually 6 phone calls because we're double dialing, right? So one phone call, you ring, the prospect gets it. They're like, oh, I don't know this number. They hang up. Then we get them a double dial right away. It's like, oh, this must be somebody that I need to talk to. They'll pick up that time, right? So if a lead came in at 9:30, they get phone call number 1. The setter moves it from new lead over into phone call number 1. They don't pick up. 12 p.m., the afternoon shift, we got a double dial. Boom, that person doesn't pick up, but we move them over to phone call 2. That means that phone call 2 has happened. And then the evening, let's say 6 p.m., boom, we move them, we double dial, we move them into phone call 3, and they pick up that time. Like, my God, you guys are just calling me all the time. Stop calling me so much. But hey, while I got you on the phone, let's just book your appointment. Boom, they book the appointment. It'll automatically move them over to this. So the whole thing about this is having a visualization of your sales process, because if you're in a higher volume thing like we are in the gym with a lot of leads, it gets confusing pretty fast of where things left off. You can do tasks and things like that, and you need to on follow-ups, but having this level of just visualization of where things are in your pipeline allows you to be way more strategic on where you spend the time, and you have a better idea of how things are tracking, and the setter just knows that they need to just mow people down. And there's like a satisfaction of moving that deal from thing to thing. Plus, we can add automations at each one of these deal stages. So if someone's in phone call 2, I could add a bunch of automations of text and things like that, right? So if we get all the way through these 24 hours and nobody books an appointment or anything like that, they're going to sit in this follow-up deal stage. And I could just have automations running all day on that if we wanted to. It's probably not going to be effective, but we'll do it anyways, because all we got to do is build it once, and then that asset's working for us all the time. You might be thinking nobody wants to get contacted that much, but the thing is, most people don't take action unless you really make it easy on them and you follow up to get them to actually book the appointment. I learned this when I was looking for a cleaning lady, interestingly. I went on Google, I got served one Google ad, I filled it out, bam, they got my contact information. I got a call immediately from a rep. I was like, hey, I'm going to source some other quotes. I'm not sure I want to go with this. She was like, oh, I totally get that. What about if we book it for you today, I'll give you 25% off. Bam. I was like, that actually sounds pretty good. So then I went and I called a bunch of other different places, and they didn't get back to me quickly enough. And it just reminded me, like, dang, if you can get the action happening right then and there, you are that much more likely to actually get the business. So I'm taking that same thing and we're implementing it here on the setter process for this new internal ad campaign. And then here's how it looks in HubSpot. We take the same format that we were using on the whiteboard and we just build it out there. So that lead's going to come in. It's going to show a bunch of lead cards there. The setter will just move it over. That'll trigger automations right there. And then what you do is you just build in your automations right here. So as I drag people through the system, I can build all the custom automations right there. I've got a delay, and this is a really simple one, a delay, and then it's just sending a text message and it's ending. And then if I want more robust overview, I can build it out in the HubSpot workflow right there. Fires are burning all throughout Pacific Palisades right now, which is just north of our Santa Monica location. This morning we were open, but we were getting some phone calls like, hey, are you guys gonna be open? What are you gonna do about late cancellations? I'm getting evacuated. It's getting pretty gnarly out there. So we decided to close down that location, get our staff out of there, and close down for tomorrow as well. Pretty gnarly circumstances here. Century City location is okay as of right now. South Bay location, which I'm in right now, we've got a lot of debris in the air, but past that, that's about it. Just got to be able to write good creative. We've got to capture the lead. We've got to reach out in a timely manner with a couple different mediums, email, text message, phone call, and then we just have to do that a few more times until we book the appointment. Once we book the appointment, we got to get them to show up for the appointment. Once they show up for the appointment, we got to close. And we've got experience on closing. I feel really confident and good about that. I feel really confident and good about the product. It's just a volume game now, and can we build out the things from the software side to help us manage all those leads? And when we do, we're gonna save ourselves a considerable amount of money bringing that thing in-house. I'm going to learn a ton. Agency's not killing it for us right now. It's not like if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing. I have a feeling that we're gonna be able to do just as good, and we're not gonna spend any money to get there, and we're gonna learn a ton. But it is a little bit frightening and scary to go ahead and build all that stuff out. But I think about it like, hey, look at yourself 6 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, and the learnings that you're going to accomplish by building and running this internally, that's gonna be worth it right there. I'd rather have that experience and knowledge because I could use that across all sorts of different businesses. That's a desirable skill set, but the only way I'm gonna learn it is just by diving in and hacking away and doing it. What have I got today in the training program? We've got single leg hip lowering superset with RNT single leg hip bridge. That's gonna be our corrective exercises. The big movement, the A1, is going to be a trap bar deadlift, 5-5-3-1 open with a 3-second eccentric on the way down. And then we go to the B series, we've got dips, 4x6. We've got dumbbell slide reverse lunge, 4x6 each. And then bent over fat grip row. It's gonna be tasty, let's get it. Get a little movement prep in here. Just really setting yourself up, doing specific things to prepare yourself for the big movements in the weight room. It's probably a life metaphor right there too. Do things that set yourself up for the big scores in life, right? It's always boring, but it's the stuff that makes a difference. Robert Frost says the only way is through. I think that was him. It's not gonna be the way to go. Let's try a little something different here. How can the children learn if they can't even fit in the building? So the guy that washes our windows, his name is Jim. He's been washing them for, gosh, years now. Does a great job. He, older gentleman, retired, he had cancer and he's fully recovered. I saw him today. I'm like, Jim, what up, man? How's your health? He's fully freaking recovered. He's out here. He looks great. Looks just like rocked up. He's probably gotta be in his 80s. And just amazing to see. And I was worried about him with the fire particles and stuff. And he's like, oh, no, this will be fine for me, fine for me. Because he sent me a message one day. He's always super on top of it with his email. He's like, yo, because we get it every 3 months. Yo, I'm not gonna make it today. I have cancer and I'm going through treatment. Jesus, dude, you all right, man? And after a couple year battle, he's freaking back, baby. We're gonna open with 90 for 5, and then we've got a 2-minute rest in between sets here. Let's go here. 3, 2, 3. What's up, Dylan? One definite downside of filming while you're training is it's slightly distracting. But for me, it's also pretty therapeutic. You can just talk to somebody, you guys out there on the other end. We're just sitting here lifting together. It's really what I'm after, some camaraderie. To tell stories and hang out with each other in the metaphorical campfire. All right, next set. A set of 5 here. Nice. 122, so 125. So 80 plus 40 is 120. 120, 125. Bars right. I was listening to some guy on TikTok. He's like a performance coach. He also lifts a lot. He's pretty jacked, but he's got a big TikTok following.
He's got some good stuff. I forget his name. Maybe I'll tag him if I remember this. He gets a bunch of questions from people on TikTok. How do you go following? He's like, the answer is simple, but he goes, when I tell people, they don't want to do it. He's like, I post every day, 1 to 3 times a day. And I'm just consistent. He's like, I never freaking miss. Damn, that's a lot. It's a lot to just constantly come up with ideas like that I feel like are good. His style is just more yapping. So it's just him right in front of the camera, adding value just by naturally talking. I bet some of his early videos weren't that good. That's another thing I've been doing lately with some of the creators that I admire and I enjoy watching. Damn, that would be so sick to have what they have and how hard they work to get there. But then it's like I go back to their early videos and you watch them, because TikTok still has the history of all that stuff. Instagram probably does too. And I just look at them like, damn, these are not that good, right? Because we're now seeing them 3 years or something like that, a few years after they actually started. But if you go back and you watch their stuff in the beginning, much like mine would totally suck if you watched it. But it just is like nice because you don't feel as far behind. All right, we got another set here, a 1. Little 1 pop at 140. Nice 3-second tempo is what we're looking for. Slow and controlled on the way down. Really want to make sure my back's nice and flat here. Nice flat angle with my back and my spine. Big breath in, get tight. Nice and quiet on the way down, like deadlifting in the library per Coach Tim's instructions. All right, so now we got 150. 150 on the bar, and I'm looking for a nice set of 5 here on the open set. So open set is you just go till you can't go anymore. I remember one of these times we did open sets over there at the Lincoln Rack. This has got to be like 2018, early Elysia vibes, maybe even 2017. We had 2 members, Ryu Kondo, Japanese American, I believe, and Chris Klein, the famous actor, who was in American Pie and also in The Flash. He was Cicada, killer role. And those guys were over there at the Lincoln Rack, Ryu and Chris Klein. And Ryu just had a spiritual experience with Chris. Ryu was just freaking going on open sets. That's the thing, you could see what somebody's got where they just put weight on the bar that's pretty heavy and they just go for broke. And it was just inspiring, that little moment watching those two in a dark corner, just bonding over friendship of open sets. So I'm not gonna take it there today, that emotional experience, but it's good to know that that's the thing, weightlifting can take you there. This intersection of body, mind, spirit, grit, fear, and flow state, all those things converge into one, and you can practice it here consistently. Athletics in general, right? Like jiu-jitsu, or it's just that you like doing a physical thing and you've taken it to a place where you could potentially get hurt and it's just that demanding and you have to lock in that much. That's one thing that having the physical element you get that you don't get when you're locked in like coding.